You've been looking for a while and you've gotten the big interview. Don't botch it. I'm going to give you 8 tips to crush the interview. Number 1, look the part. Don't take it for granted that you're going to be a junior PM and therefore you dress sloppily. You got to come with your best look, my friend. Think about where you're going, not where you are currently. You want to get to a higher level. You want to get to places with more responsibility. Look the part. Number 2, don't be low energy. One thing interviewers can't stand is someone coming with a dishwater dull personality, especially when it's meant to be a people person interview, like a project manager should be. Number 3, do your homework on the firm. Don't go there and start asking lame questions about the firm that you could easily have researched on the web. You got to do your work before you get in, my friend. Number 4, ask engaging real questions. And when I say real questions, I'm talking about questions that really demonstrate thought. You want to go in there asking thought-provoking questions that are based on real curiosity. Number 5, read the job description and come correct. A lot of people get into interviews and you can tell they didn't read that job description because they're asking questions that were obviously in the job description. Come with an attentive mind. Get some good night's sleep so that when you get into that interview, you're sharp and you're thinking at a much rapid rate than even the interviewer themselves. Number 6, eye contact. One thing that disqualifies a lot of candidates is the very poor EI, poor emotional intelligence, poor soft skills, poor eye contact. Do your homework on this one, my friend. Look in front of the mirror, and whether it's virtual or in person, you got to hold that eye contact. Look into the barrel of that camera, my friend. Let people know that you are not shy, you're not afraid, and you are truly who you say you are. Number 7, project confidence, not arrogance. Make sure that when you get into that interview, you don't appear timid or shy. Project respect, but at the same time, confidence. People want those who they can put in front of clients without them folding up under it. I remember earlier on in my career, I went for an interview and the interviewer said, our client will eat you up and spit you out of their mouth because you don't have any confidence. It took a while for me to understand what they were talking about, but there's a way you carry yourself and you project your voice in an interview that tells people it's all over, there's no way they can represent us, or this will be a good person to put in front of client X or Y. Finally, number 8, don't be late, ever. If you're going for a project manager interview, especially, being late is unforgivable. So go there, ready to shine, ready to sparkle, ready to dazzle, and go with your best self. I wish you all the very best, my friend.
Hey, thanks for joining. You did it. Nice job. Introducing our speaker, author, and coach to thousands of professionals and organizations worldwide, including NASA, the U.S. Air Force, the Department of Transportation, the FBI. Your friend, Phil. Over to you, Phil.
Thank you. It is indeed a pleasure to be talking to you today about interviews. The main purpose of today's session is to share with you my experience in going for over 40 different interviews. I woke up and smelled the coffee pretty early in my career because I remember one of the hiring managers telling me, you're not like those other guys that come in here. For that reason, I'm going to give you this special position. And this interviewer set me up for success by placing me in a well-known Fortune 500 bank. Everyone knows this bank. And that's where I cut my teeth on project management, records management, and a lot of corporate stuff. So I'll be sharing with you my experiences and my understanding of what actually gets you to stay in the door, not just to get in the door. It's one thing to get an interview and be hired in the company, but it's another thing to advance to levels above where you started and to stay in there. So I'm going to be sharing some of these communication tips, communication tricks, and overall observations that I've made through the years. You see, a lot of people believe that it's their resume that gets them into the door. But I'll tell you this, your resume may get you into the door, but it definitely won't keep you there. Your interview will be judged on several things other than your resume. Franklin Murphy, for example, chairman, Times Mirror, he said, a resume is needed, but it won't get you the job. When I interview a job applicant, I am first interested in how he presents himself. How does he look? How is he dressed? What does he say? And how does he answer my questions? That is what qualifies you for several jobs. How you're able to communicate, how you're able to connect, the overall package, how you dress, how you look, and how you come across. Robert Half says, job applicants do not always act in their own best interest. And it's true. Some people walk into an interview not with their A game. That is a big mistake. Go with your A game. Look smart. Get ready to talk. Get ready to sell. An interview is nothing more but an opportunity to sell yourself, and sell yourself with everything you've got. If you don't sell yourself with passion, it comes across as lackluster, dull, and uninterested. So you need to go again with your A game to all the iterations of an interview. Barbara Walters offers this advice to prospective interviewers. She says, my best advice for dealing with destructive anxiety, if you have it, is homework. Homework helps enormously when you apply for a job. You got to know your resume. You got to know your history. You should be able to pick any step in your timeline and explain it to the satisfaction of the interviewer. When you go for interviews, also balance communication with listening. You don't want to be over the top, a loose cannon, saying too much and being too familiar. The personnel manager took an application from a job seeker, but he had to tell him that he didn't have anything for him. Personnel manager says, right now we just don't have enough to keep you busy. The applicant said, oh, you'd be surprised at how little it takes. And you don't want to exaggerate your past. For example, a very eager beaver young man was applying for a job, and the supervisor said, we need a responsible person. The young man said, well, sir, at all the jobs I had, whenever anything happened, they said I was responsible. You want to watch what you say, all right? You want to position yourself for success. You want to make sure you're communicating exactly what you mean. You want to let your body language be congruent with what you're saying. To get hired, you may have to sell someone on the idea of how much they need you. Just like I said, you want to be selling yourself hard. And when I say hard, I'm not saying in your face, but passion goes beyond being loud. It goes beyond being brassy and in your face. Passion can be felt. It can be felt in the way you speak. It can be felt in your gestures compared to not speaking or communicating with any gesture or body language inflections at all. That would come across as very dispassionate. You see what I mean? Victor Kiam, well-known businessman, owner of the New England Patriots at the time and owner of the Remington Company. He talked about a young man who wanted to work for him once upon a time, and after looking at this applicant's resume, he told him there wasn't anything available. The young man refused to end the interview. He said, I think there's an opening for me, but I don't know where it is yet. He offered Kiam a plan. He would work for 30 days without compensation, wagering his free labor that he'd find a position for himself at Remington. Within the 30 days, he found some problems and outlined how he would solve them. He got the job. Persistence can lead to a good job. There are many different flavors, many different ingredients that make you successful in your job search. Many different hallmarks and landmarks will make you successful in your overall search. I remember going into a firm, well-known semiconductor firm, looking for a job. I was interviewed, brought my A game, great interview, but the interviewer thought I just wasn't that great a fit because I needed to have more IT hardware background. Within a few months, this interviewer recommended me to his colleague. And at the end of the day, I was placed in a program manager role in this firm, all because I came with my A game in a first interview that didn't lead to a job, but led to success in a second interview, which was more like a free pass because he sold me to this colleague of his like there was no tomorrow. Till today, I'm great friends with that hiring manager. So it shows that you need to go with your A game. You need to go with your communication abilities. You need to go with everything you've got to sell yourself to win that gig. So right off the bat, in many organizations these days, one of the things you will be judged on is your ability to communicate, because people know that the project manager spends 70 to 90% of the time communicating. What they're thinking is, can I put this person in front of my staff? Can I put this person in front of the company? Can I put this person in front of the board? And if the answer is no, it's going to be a resounding no at the end of the interview. You want your body language to exude confidence, not arrogance, but confidence. You want your language to be free from slang and jargon that people don't understand. And you also want your eye contact to be sincere. Straight into the eyes, but not in an overbearing fashion. And know when to look away and when to look back. But don't have a penetrative stare. When people see your honesty and transparency when you are sharing what's on your resume by looking into your eyes, they get the feeling that you are truly communicating truth and not made up stuff. Another thing I've realized that gets you straight into the favor of people interviewing you is your ability to be real, to be natural, to be honest, to be open, to be human. So going into an interview, instead of rehearsing the small talk, you need to get to a point where you are free in communicating with other human beings. You might want to practice this anywhere, locally, as you're standing in line waiting for coffee. Make small talk with the people around you. You need to practice this before you get into the interview. And when you get to the interview, it's just like meeting someone else down the road, down the street, and communication flows easily. Some of the things people often write out for one to go into the interview thinking about should actually come naturally and normally. We're all human. We're all affected by the things around us, climate, the state of the country, political events. So without getting overtly political, there are things that generate natural discussion. So in going for a job, it's important that we put ourselves in a position of those interviewing us. If you were interviewing yourself, would you give yourself the job? Did you come across as being a convincing person? Or did it look fake and insincere? And did you seem bored with the company of the people around you? And did you not have any stimulating thought or discussion to bring to the table? You see, whenever I go for an interview, I'm going with questions in my question bag to ask at the end of the interview. These are things that show preparedness, that show interest, and that show they'll probably be able to get along with you in some way. Those are my tips for today, and I hope that helps someone who's got an interview coming up. Don't shy away from the chit chat. Be human. Put yourself in the position of the interviewer and go with your A game. I wish you all the best, and bye for now.